What's good, y'all? Welcome to my review for this week's episode of Bleach 1000-Year Blood War. Alright, man. This episode, once again, was phenomenal. The art and animation was absolutely insane. The music, oh my god. The music, man. The music was incredible for this episode. And, bro, the OP and the EDs both slap. Absolutely, man. Especially the OP. I love the visuals of the OP, man. Although I do question if the OP was directed by the same guy that directed the P5 OP for the game, just because of how similar they look. But we'll talk more about that when we get to the actual OP. But yeah, without further ado, guys, let's just jump right in. So he starts the episode off with Yuha or Yuha-Ba, Watch, however the fuck you pronounce it. Seriously, I cannot wait until Yuha-Ba is formally introduced in the anime. We know and we introduce himself, says his name and everything, just so we finally know how the fuck we're supposed to pronounce it. Anyway, because it's all I hear pronunciations all over the place on how to pronounce his name. Either way, we basically pick up right where we left off last week, where he just cuts off the arm of one of his subordinates like it's nothing. And he just like, oh, don't worry, it must be hard to even sit down with them. Well, don't worry, man, you can keep talking while you're lying down. Don't worry about it. He's like, oh, thank you, sir. Other than no, I'm already starting to love Yuha, man. Like, Kubo, this man knows how to write villains, man. Aizen is badass. He's so cool, man. Yuha got a lot of that too, man. Anyway. He says, but if you don't sit up, if you don't sit, then I suppose you don't need your legs either. So this man struggles to finally get back on his, to at least get to some of his sitting, because he's like, surely you jest, son. Speaking to your majesty while lying down, I would never disrespect you doing such a thing. I, the great Ludius, I believe is how you pronounce his name, would never show such disrespect. And then first up, I also gotta like how they did the episode card. The guy showed up there for me to show like the episode title, because it looks like they kind of incorporated a little bit of like the old episode cards that we saw from the original Bleach anime. Because you get the usual like Bleach 2, the Blood Warfare, but then we see a shot of his arm with the text Foundation Stones passing through it. It's kind of very similar to how the Bleach used to do their old episode cards. So kind of like they're at least trying to integrate some of the old Bleach episode cards into the new anime, which I thought was cool, because I love those episode cards. Those are so cool. And then we finally get the OP. Now, as I mentioned at the start of the video, I got a question. Did the director of the P5 OP direct this from the original P5 game? Because you can see the very much similarities with it being a very much black and white, with the only primary color being red in P5, but pink in this one. It kind of looks the same, where you have like the sky is pink, different environments, pink hues all over the place. It looks incredible, man. But I do question if they were done by the same director or not, because they're a little too similar for it to be a coincidence. But who knows? Maybe it's two separate directors. Maybe it's the same guy. I don't know. You guys can tell me down in the comments. Now, I'm not going to get nearly as in-depth and try to like analyze every little frame of this like I did with Hiroaka Season 6, but there was some really cool stuff in here. First off, I love like the actual title when it's revealed, where you see get covered up by like, I don't know, blood, whatever this pink liquid is supposed to resemble, before it finally spells out the rest of the title. We get shots of the crew, and I love for Ichigo, they use one of the color pages from the manga during the Blood War anime for you, because I see this color page all over the place, and it was cool to see him actually incorporate this into the OP itself. We get a bunch of shots of the Soul Reapers. Of course, my man Toshiro gets some love in there, which you always love to see, and we get a bunch of crazy fights with various Soul Reapers, including my man Toshiro. And of course, Renji, which... that should be interesting. That should be interesting when we get there. But yeah, it's always nice to see Toshiro, man. Great stuff. The OP itself looks incredible. The song is a banger, man. And yeah, one thing that's interesting is that we end the OP off with we see Ichigo rocking 2 swords. Now, of course, if you've either read the manga, seen screenshots, played Jump Force, or BBS, you know that this is Ichigo's, I guess, 1000-Year Blood War form. I don't know if this has an official name yet, but kind of cool. They're like little setting up his new outfit he's gonna take. I don't know when or how he gets this new outfit, but it's cool. But it's gonna be cool when we get there. We also interesting. We see some shot of Ichigo with Hollow Ichigo, I'm assuming, right before it transitions into Zangetsu. So kind of interested about that, because Hollow Ichigo looks a lot different than we last saw him. At least I did from the anime, but. That should be interesting what that's all about. But yeah, looking forward to Ichigo getting that new form, because that new form he gets is badass, man. Anyway, after that, We also get to see, we also get back to Ichigo when he gets back into the back into his room, and the other Soul Reaper, the one that's voiced by Ichigo, not Ichigo, Izuku, I'm something on his name. He gets a message, he gets a call from his phone, and basically basically them basically reporting of course, when we saw the episode last week about the lieutenant getting killed, and of course, there was also a battle going on by a single intruder that killed all 116 Soul Reapers that were there, and it only lasts 182 seconds, which I think is like what, 3 minutes or so. So yeah, pretty great. And of course, they don't shy away from showing off the blood and everything. Super gory. Like I said, this anime's been super gory, which you love to see, man. So then we transition over to get to the violins, taking over the violins. No, like the song itself was pretty good, but it's just like hearing the violins. And yeah, we get a bunch of shots of Ichigo and the crew as they, I guess, learn of this news. Pretty, like I said, once again, the music, like I said, was pretty great as well. Animation, once again, stellar as always. Before Ichigo decides to do some patrolling, where he then is run into by Nell, and Nell comes in there from like the sky, and then basically just rams into Ichigo. Like, this has to be a Dragon Ball reference because it's so similar to like when Gohan, I believe, rammed into Frieza, Raditz in the Saiyan Saga when he just like charged right into him. It looked very similar to that. So I don't know if that was Kubo showing off a slight little nod to Dragon Ball or not, but it definitely reminded me of that scene from DBZ. Before then, we get to the scene where Nell basically tells her about, oh, Waco Mundo's in danger and everything, which we saw in the trailers. And then we get back to Yuha, where Ludius tells them about the plan that's going on, but they need 2 days before them and the Soul Society will be ready for war. And Yuha, yo, bro, Yuha we're 2 episodes in, I'm already loving this guy. He's like, oh, are you a prophet? He's like, what? If you are not a prophet, why are you speaking about the future? You need to be talking about the present. I just thought that whole scene was really fucking cool, man. That whole scene was just really fucking cool. And so right after Yuha tells him to talk about the present, he blows his fucking head off. Bruh. Now, this is about the only time where we probably got a little bit of censorship because because the blood is kind of more blackish color, which could just be the lighting, and it kind of is like it's not like in the frame, and it's a little bit more closer in, so you don't really see all of it. So that was probably about the only little bit of censorship we've gotten so far in this entire anime. Other than that, yeah. So then he turns over to Espen and he tells him, there is nothing about you that is worthy of praise or punishment, but you were able to sufficiently keep Ichigo at bay. And he's like, oh, thank you so much, sir. And he says, now your job is done, and blows his head off too. Seriously, bro, Yuha, man, he's fucking awesome, bro. So Yuha gets off from his throne, and these like steps start to appear before him, like materialize as the Quincy guards is what I'm going to call them until we get like an official name for them. Ask him like, was that a smart idea? I thought the Iran guards would be great assets because they wouldn't need combat trades. Like, oh, we can always get more. And so he gets up to the top of these steps, pulls off this little the sheet. He had these like sheet or whatever, pulls it away, revealing Hannibal, like in captivity. So that's when we hit back over to Ichigo and the other one, and there's as Nell is trying to tell them amongst her crying about what's going on in Waco Mundo. Then Pushi comes out of nowhere and lands almost right next to Ichigo, but Ichigo manages to dodge him, and then my man Ichigo, I love you, bro, but this was unnecessary. He kicks him in the balls, and I'm like, bro, you didn't even do that. Bro. That's just disrespect. Also, by the way, is Pesci in the Japanese? Is he voiced by Dio? Because he sounded a lot like Dio. I don't know if it is the same Dio. I'm pretty sure it is, but he sounded a lot like Dio. That's when, of course, we get to the Sarate cremation for the lieutenant. And then we actually get this was a pretty cool shot. It was completely silent where we see him, Sasakibe, kneel before the head captain, which I thought looked really cool. And this is also pretty cool. This is also a little editing thing I like. It was pretty cool. He says, light the fire, and instantly cuts to Karin turning on the furnace thing, which I thought was a pretty cool editing thing where we see Karin and use him. Which, by the way, I gotta ask, where the fuck is Kon during all of this? Like, bro, we haven't seen anything, no mention of Kon, nothing. There has been no Kon sightings since the start of this anime. Now, apparently Kon was in one of the chapters that got adapted from the last episode, but they ended up cutting the scene. So yeah, I'm gonna be. So yeah, when are we gonna see Colin? Where's my man Colin? Anyway, that's when we head over back to Ichigo's room, which, as you guys may remember, last week everyone was losing their mind because they found out that Ichigo got a pair of Red Octobers in his room, which, as you guys may know, are very rare and very expensive shoes. Those Yeezys cost you are gonna cost you like what? 15 grand or something, give or take, somewhere around there. It's ridiculous how much those shoes go for on on the secondhand marketplace. But whatever. We all know Kubo is a fan of fashion. He knows his shit. So hey, shout out to Ichigo, man. He got good taste. But this episode, it appears this man has a PS5 because you can see a controller by his TV that looks very much like a PS5 controller. Don't know if it is or not, but that's something I know. I didn't catch the Red Octobers, but I definitely caught that one. Anyway, Pushi tells them about how Hannibal has become the leader as the ruler of Hueco Mundo, and then we get a little flashback back to what happened right before this, where we see Yuhaba with with a bunch of other Quincy's coming in. Bro, this man knows how to make a fucking entrance. This man comes in there, he's levitating, he's got his powers up, there's lightning going all over the place right behind him, bro. It was absolutely insane, man. It was absolutely insane. I'm like, damn, this man knows how to make a fucking entrance, man. So Hannibal tells Nell, Pushi, and Dora Hundo or something along those lines to run. So they try and run away, but they end up getting cornered, and they ended up capturing Don Chanka. I'm pretty sure I butchered his name, but they nab the other guy, the one with the big face. They end up nabbing him, and of course he asks Ichigo to help them and rescue him. Which, of course, Ichigo obviously is going to do, but Uryu isn't going to go because apparently he doesn't help Quincy's. He's a Quincy, he doesn't help Arancars or Hollows. And then, right after that, that is when Urahara finally makes his grand return. It was so good to see Urahara once again, although this is going to be very interesting when this airs for the dub, whether it's on Toonami or whatever, because as you guys may have known, Urahara's original dub VA, Michael Lindsay, if I'm saying his last name right, ended up passing away last year, I believe. If not last year, it was 2020. So they obviously had to get a new VA to voice Urahara for the new 1,000 Year Blood War, which they've already announced is going to be Doug Erholtz. I'm probably pretty sure I butchered his last name. But yeah, he will be voicing Urahara for the Blood War anime. And it's definitely going to be interesting once when this gets to the dub and we see Urahara back, man. But yeah. Looking forward to the dub whenever that finally airs, man. That's gonna be fun. Anyway, and Urahara asked if they need him to arrange a trip to Hueco Mundo. So then we see him once they're actually traveling into Hueco Mundo, which they're having a much easier time getting into Hueco Mundo this time than they did last time during the Arankar arc. So anyway, they eventually get to Hueco Mundo. They come in from the sky, of course. And actually, we see two of the guards leading a bunch of the Arancars and Hollows. They got their the whole robe hood things up. They're all chained up and everything. As they're walking away, one of the guards ends up seeing something and thinking he hears some voice. And of course, the other one's like, "Oh, you're just imagining it. There's nothing there." He's like, "Oh, right." So then we see Ichigo and the other ones have landed. They're both hiding. As we find out about what's going on here, and of course, we see the destruction the Quincy's have left in Hueco Mundo. And I gotta say, as Pushi is explaining kind of what's been going on with the Quincy's going on in Hueco Mundo, bro. The fucking OST once again was amazing. Like that little guitar riff that was playing, bro, in this whole section as he's telling them what's happening, like with the flame of compress ratio. I believe is what he said. That basically that before the rocks and sand of Hueco Mundo wouldn't burn to, now they're burning to. So yeah, like I said, that guitar, seriously, bro, that guitar riff, the OST throughout this entire episode's been insane, but bro, that guitar riff, I love that guitar riff. Eventually, after Ichigo hears all this, he's like, all right, I'll go, we'll get Don Tachaka, we'll get him, but first let's go help out these other Arancars. He's like, wait, what? And so he leaves, obviously Ichigo goes off, of course, Orihime and Chad eventually follow with him, and then of course we finally get back to the Quincy's, where we get introduced to another one. Man gets his whole got the whole title cards and everything. I'm just gonna call this dude Jay because I have no idea how your ex is supposed to pronounce his name. So anyway, he gets them all lined up there and explains that that he is going to kill each and every one of them, starting from the right. And he says like, oh, but if you don't want to die or join our ranks, go down to your hands and knees like you're kissing our feet. So then one of the one of the captives, and they're like, "Oh, if I do this, are you gonna spare life?" And like right as he's saying that, the dude gets stabbed with like this dude with like his with Jay's spear right through the wall. He's like, "No, of course not. To actually join the race, you have to take an entrance exam. All this is gonna show us is who's gonna actually take the entrance exam." I fucking love the Quincy's, man. I fucking love the Quincy's, man. And of course, in this whole section, when the Quincy's theme starts playing, which, bro, yo, once again, that fucking theme, which we heard this in the trailers, bro. Oh my god, I love that song. Dum, 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 bum, dum, dum. Bro, that whole song is fucking a banger, bro. Like, dude, I gotta ask, what is with the Bleach composer and the villains? Like, bro, this man goes so unnecessarily hard for the villain themes. Like, we had, the Iran cars, and Ukiora had the fucking Spanish guitar, which was fucking insane, bro. Shinji's theme was also amazing as well, bro. And then, of course, we got the Quincy's, bro. Like, bro, why this man going so hard for the villains, man? Like, bro, low-key, the villains probably some of the best themes in Bleach, obviously outside of Ichigo with number one. That song's obviously, of course, a massive banger. But anyway, as this dude just starts stabbing all these hollows and Iran cars one by one, and saying like this, like this, like this. Eventually, two of them manage to put their chains right where his spear was going through, breaking their chains, and eventually one of them pulls out their sword and cuts off like the top half of his spear. And so, then this dude, as this dude has a sword pointed right at his neck, the two of his subordinates come with him, which, by the way, the fucking subordinates are also pretty funny here, because as this dude is stabbing all these Iran cars and hollows, one of the guys asks him, like, is he actually planning on actually bringing one of these Iran cars back? He's like, no, he's not. He has no interest in Wakamundo. That's something I always find funny, is whenever whatever the villain or head honcho of a particular group is doing their thing, killing people left and right, and then we just listen to what the henchmen and the subordinates are saying. It's always funny, man. But anyway, so he tells like, you guys are too slow when you said sir. So then they start to try to attack him. The animation here was also really damn good, but he manages to slice up one of them. The other one he just hits them with the guardrail of his sword right into the face. Man, I thought he first bitch slapped her, but now he hit her with the guardrail of his sword. And he's just like, oh, they two have passed the test. Torture them enough to where you don't kill them, but have fun with them. So he walks away, and then this dude starts talking shit about Aizen. This man legit starts talking shit about Aizen, saying like, oh, Aizen hires such weak Iran cars to his side. He wasn't that great. I feel like Aizen would like a word with you, but whatever. Anyway, as this is going on, eventually, out of nowhere, we see the spinning disc just taking out Quincy's left and right, bro. The animation here, once again, was also insane, bro. Period has been going off throughout the Blood War anime for these 2 episodes, bro, and the animation there was stellar. He eventually catches it with his hand, and then which reveals 3 more Iran cards, which I think we've seen these guys before in the anime. Not entirely sure, but I feel like they look kind of familiar. I probably maybe pulled them once in Brazils or something. They, of course, get their own title cards and introducing who they are before we head over back to Ichigo as he's sliding down the sand dunes of Wakamundo. With Nell on top of his head, they start to see there's a battle going on in front of them, and Nell says that those spiritual pressures belong to Thres Bista, if I'm pronouncing that right. And then she goes on this massive expedition dump on who these 3 are and how they're super scary and all this other shit. So then then she just starts like pulling Ichigo back, covering his eyes. He's like, hey, I can't see shit. Then we see them start fighting, and bro, one of these ladies, this woman is just extra, because one of the Quincy guards, whatever the fuck these people are called, starts coming out from behind. She hits him with the back of her fist, and his head fucking explodes. Absolute insanity, bro. These Tres Biesca are very powerful Rom cars, as we can see. So they're all fighting against these jabronis while Jay's just sitting on his throne, just watching this all go down. Then one of them appears behind him. They start to double team against him, and then he tries to convince them to join his ranks, and they all tell him to don't underestimate us, you 4-eyed monkey. Corinthians. Then we hover back over to the Soul Society where Mayura basically explains that the rebel army that invaded Soul Society are indeed the Quincy's. Then when we end the episode off with Ichigo seeing the aftermath of the battle where all three of Tres Viescas are all fallen, and all that's left is of course Jay as he stares down Ichigo. Badass shot to end the episode off with. And then, of course, we got the ED, which more or less just shows off the various Zanpakutos of the Soul Reapers and everything. Looked really fucking cool. The song itself was amazing. I love the song. The art animation for it looked really cool. And we end the ED off with a shot of Ichigo's original Shikai form for Zanpakuto from at least pre-Fullbringer arc. So yeah. And that is where the episode ends, ladies and gentlemen. Phenomenal episode, man. Loved it. So many great moments, man. The art and animation, once again, fantastic as always, man. The OST, oh my god, bro. The OST for the Blood War anime has been absolutely insane, man. Seriously, the OST, what we heard of it so far, has been insane. And yeah, next week we're going to be seeing Ichigo going up against Jay, which I'm sure the animation for that's going to be insane. So yeah, that is wrapping this video off, ladies and gentlemen. Overall, I give this episode a 9 out of 10, guys. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you like it, you can subscribe if you're new. Follow me on my socials if you feel like it. Links down in the description box below. And as always, come back for more. See you guys next time.